Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video giving my thoughts on some new magazine cover shots we've got of Lauren Cohan for The Walking Dead Season 7 second half being shown for GQ Mexico, and also whether or not we think Eugene will betray the survivors. Pretty sweet, so I'll put the link in the description to these so you guys can go ahead and check them out. Check them out. These are for GQ Mexico for February. So pretty cool. People were complaining, saying, Trev, why didn't you include any pictures of Maggie in the portraits? From thewalkingdead.com, I didn't see any there. Maybe there were some posted other sources, but there are these ones, so you guys can go ahead and check these out if you want. Pretty cool. Only thing I want to say for this year, which is a little different from last year, maybe a little bit too skinny, a little bit. I mean, it's nitpicky. Be honest here, it's nitpicky, but maybe a little bit too much, a little bit too skinny thinking. But you know, I mean, it's perfectly reasonable, of course, because this year for Walking Dead has been a bit depressing. So not sure if she hasn't been eating as much as usual, but you know, I mean, it's just kind of the way season 7 has gone. Season 7 has been a bit depressing, of course, for her especially, and her character's gone through quite a bit of transformation already this year. So we'll see how the second half goes. But yeah, link will be in the description, guys. Check them out. Pretty cool. So this question was sent in by Alexander Evangelos, and he says, Trev, thanks for the videos during the mid-season break. It's giving me enough until February 12th. Well, it's coming soon, man. We've got a couple weeks here left in a few days. But yeah, it's coming up on us pretty soon. Question for the Q&A, do you think that Eugene could possibly be the character to betray the group? I think his cowardice of in the past could potentially be a clue to go by. Thanks again. So good question from Alexander. And that's what I've been hearing mostly as kind of like the lead survivor that might turn on them. And I can see that, but the thing is, he doesn't know everything that's happened after the Spencer kill, right? Because after the Spencer kill, he's basically taken, and he doesn't really know that Rick and the others have kind of, so far as we know, have gotten together and are planning on rising up and fighting back against Negan. So from Eugene's perspective, if he goes along with what Negan wants him to do, it's not like he's really betraying the group. He thinks the group is under Negan and that they're going to be compliant with that. So for him, it's kind of like, is he really betraying them even if he does what Negan tells him to do? I'd kind of tend to think that once the fighting starts, once he gets wind of what's going on, that he'll probably find an intelligent way to kind of screw the Saviors. Either start producing blanks for them or something, or, you know, screw up the bullets or something. I don't know. We'll see in the second half. But, you know, I personally think, like, he's not really betraying them if he doesn't know, if he's ignorant to it. If he does know what's going on and he still betrays them because he's cowardly, which you may very well be right, because he's one of the most cowardly characters in the show. Even though he's changed a lot, it's still his character and changes hard. So we could see that. You know, of course, as a lot of other people said in the video on Sunday, Gregory is another character you would kind of expect it from. A lot of people think Enid, so that's somebody that we might see betray them. If you guys didn't see the video on Sunday, Lenny James had said in an interview that one of the survivors is going to betray the group. So we'll see who it ends up being. But yeah, Eugene is a pretty good bet, I want to say. Kenny Day says, hey Trev, I'm afraid they will skip over Carol and Morgan finding out about Glenn and Abraham. They kind of did that with Tara off screen and then showed her mourning. I want to see reactions to their death. What do you think, Trev? So Kenny Day. Good question from you, Ken. That whole thing is going to be weird. You know, Rick and the others meeting with Carol and Morgan at the Kingdom and finding out that they've been there all along is going to be really strange. And I almost think that Rick might feel a bit betrayed because those are supposed to be his people. They could have used them as all this stuff was going down and everything was happening, and instead they had just kind of decided to kind of stay at the Kingdom and not tell them while all this craziness was happening. So I can understand that he would be upset, actually, that they kind of, for the decision that they made. It's not like there's anything he can really do about it right now. He's got a lot of other stuff going on. Even if he talked to them about it, it wouldn't really do anything. But yeah, that's going to be tricky for Rick to try to convince them to fight again after they tell them that Glenn and Abraham are both dead. So that's something I don't want to see them skip over. Sometimes they skip over stuff, and it's kind of like, okay, you know, they skipped over the Carl amnesia stuff in Season 6 in the comic book series version. Carl gets gets shot in the eye. Then he has amnesia. He wakes up asking Rick, where's Mom? And there's some other really good stuff around that. And, you know, that's a really cool, you know, a page in the Walking Dead comic book series when you see Carl, he wakes up like that. And it's like, wow, you know, okay, so he doesn't know where he is. Is his brain okay? What's going on? It brings in a lot of questions. In the TV series, they skip right over that. And, you know, in some ways it worked out okay, but in other ways it's like, I kind of wanted to see that. So I really hope they don't just skip over the whole Carol Morgan thing with Rick and the others and them not react to the deaths and not be saddened by it. And at the same time, I want to see Rick try to understand, like, I want to see some kind of feeling out process there between why weren't they there, you know, always accountable, right? The episode from season 6, why weren't they always accountable? You know, why did they just kind of sort of abandon the group and kind of just stop caring and join this other community? I don't know. That's tricky. So we'll see how they play out the whole scenario between them and the rest of the group and how this works and whether or not we're going to see Carol and Morgan become longtime residents of the kingdom, or if this is just a short part and then eventually they'll go back to Alexandria. I wouldn't be surprised if Morgan was like a kingdom guy for the rest of his time in the series until eventually if he gets killed off. If he does, we'll see. But, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of stayed there because I don't really think of his way of thinking and Rick as being in line. So maybe for him it's best. For Carol, if she can't get her mojo back, so to speak, then maybe it's best for her too to kind of have some distance. So I don't know, but write your comments below, guys. Let me know what you think about that and what you want to see from Carol and Morgan, and if you want to see the reactions to the death, because I personally would like to see that. Abdullah Khan says, dude, your videos show up my recommended feed all the time, and I really want to watch them, but I intentionally do not follow the comics, so I can watch the show in suspense. From the videos I've watched of you, you discuss things from the comics and show a lot of your titles have slight spoilers in them. I don't know what to do, as I love the channel, but I don't want to be spoiled. So for you, Abdullah, and people like you, I try my best to try and, you know, control what information is in what videos. I mean, the Q&As, a lot of times people can ask certain things, and sometimes I'll give away something from the comics. If you don't want to know anything, then I would suggest maybe you just stay off the internet, period, because there's stuff everywhere. And heads up to everybody, apparently I saw some comments and stuff that apparently there's a new round of spoilers. I'm staying out of it for the second half. Apparently it's leaked stuff. I'm pretty much staying out of it 100%. I'll probably end up seeing stuff in comments, which kind of sucks for me, but I'm staying right out of it. So I understand your perspective, Abdullah, that you just want to stay out of it because you don't want things to get spoiled for you. But just so you know, spoilers can get worse than just knowing what happens in the comics, because they don't always follow the comics. We just talked about the Carl amnesia thing that never made it to the show. You know, was never in season 6 of the TV series, and they may never use it. You know, so we'll see. But you know, it can get worse than that, to the point where there's people that actually have like leaked scripts, you know, for the second half at this point. It sounds like, at least that's what I heard in comments. Again, it's hearsay from you guys. I'm going based on what you guys say. There was a good number of you guys who said that. So the only thing I would ask is, please, with comments, try to keep if you're into spoilers, try to keep it to yourself, because you're going to ruin it for me and everybody else too in comments. And you know, for people that don't want to know much about the comics, I try to warn you guys as best I can before I say certain stuff. So that's the best I can do. You know, it's just the nature of what it is. But just because you know something from the comics I don't think it ruins the experience of the TV series. I love this TV series even more because I know the comic book storyline, and I've done videos on that before and expressed that before. Thomas Nocter says, hey, Trev, what's going on? Do you think Shiva will feed on some saviors? So this is a really good question from Thomas, is, you know, how much are they going to use Shiva this half? Because, again, anything they do with the tiger is going to be expensive. It's not like in the comics. In the comics, Charlie Adler can just draw it in, Shiva munching down on a bunch of saviors and zombies. In the TV series, that's not so easy because you have to have the CG done for that. That takes time in order to make it look good. CG pretty much never looks good as the real thing. When you look at it with a close eye in 1080p, no matter how good the artist is, it pretty much never looks as good as the real thing. You know, practical is pretty much always better, I want to say, if you can do it, depending on the scenario. But yeah, for Shiva, that's going to be tough. Ezekiel's tiger, for anybody who's not up with this, it's going to be tough to see what they're going to do this half. Are they going to show, or in season 8, are they going to show Shiva out in battle, or are they going to scrap that whole thing because practically it's going to be too hard to do? So also write your comments below, guys. I want to see your predictions. Do you think that we're going to see much with Shiva? I would predict that I don't think we'll see much with Shiva in the way of action. I don't think we'll see her, in more than maybe one, maybe two action sequences. That's probably it, because CG is just so expensive, and it takes a long time. It delays things. They're producing a lot, so I think they'll probably use some clever ways to work around that. Maybe see her kill like one savior off screen or something. Like use clever techniques to do that. If you guys don't know Aliens, if you ever seen the movie James Cameron Aliens, in that they actually only had they said 6 xenomorphs, 6 aliens in costume, and they used dots on the reader and things like that to make it seem like there was a whole hive and there was a whole, they were surrounded by them and this kind of stuff. But really there was only 6 of them or something like that. That's pretty cool. In the extended features you can see that. So there's some clever ways they could kind of do that with Shiva, where maybe they have her encounter one savior by himself or something like that. But an open battle out in the open is going to be tough to animate. So we're going to see what they do with that. It would not surprise me if we don't see hardly any of that. Maybe 1 or 2 sequences in the next couple years, and that's it. Draman Cole says, Trev, it's hilarious that you did the Nerf video. Did you know there are actually Walking Dead Nerf guns made? They are mainly found at Toys R Us. Check out the line here, and he linked the line. I'll put the link in the description for you guys if you want to see the actual licensed Walking Dead Nerf guns. Which is really funny. I did know that. I did know that they actually have them. They're for the comics, though. They're not really for the TV series. At least the ones I've seen are for the comics. I think it's hilarious. I don't have a problem with it. The joke video on Monday was just to kind of be like, can you imagine if you started seeing stuff like that in the show? And it was also to kind of illustrate groupthink and how these things can go at a corporate level, and how when someone brings up an idea, it's hard for people to put the brakes on it and stuff. So I felt like the video did everything I wanted it to do on Monday. It was pretty funny. Of course, I don't expect to see anything too ridiculous in Walking Dead, but the whole concept is a bit absurd, is really all there is to it. And Walking Dead Nerf guns is kind of absurd too, but there's Walking Dead everything. One time, was it HBO? HBO was going to send me Game of Thrones beer, and I was like, yes! And it got turned back at the border and sent back. I was going to drink and review it for you guys, so that sucks. Blame Canada, right? Blame Canada for sending back my Game of Thrones beer. That sucks, dude. But yeah, I think there's all kinds of different stuff like that. There's Super Saiyan energy drink, which is cool. You can get an energy drink like Super Saiyan Goku on it stuff. So there's some crazy products out there that are really fun. I'll probably never pick up a Walking Dead Nerf weapon, Daryl crossbow or anything. I don't know. Probably not. I don't collect Nerf stuff. It's not my thing. But, it's still cool too. And if you've ever been to a party where they had a whole bunch of Nerf guns, that's pretty fun. If you've ever been to a party like that. So everybody drinking and shooting each other with Nerf guns. But you got to do it. You got to do it for real, though. If you actually get shot, you got to be like, oh, you shot me, and then, you're out type of thing. You can't screw around. People always cheat. That's what happens. We'll do a couple more. James Mundell 32 says, Trev, Q&A question for you on Twitter, Sons of Anarchy. Oh, this one I already went through this one, the Kurt Sutter one. And DJ Choice says, Trev, I wonder how many of your subs will tell you Morales is hiding in that grave. You bastards with your Morales jokes, man, DJ. You guys get me all the time. I'm still seeing Morales in comments like every day, and I'm like, why doesn't this just go away? And people are like, well, why don't you just take it out of your Q&A? Just don't talk about it, Trev. It's like, that doesn't mean it's going to go away. I haven't talked about it sometimes for 7 months, and it still comes back to haunt me. So watch him show up in the series at some point, and then I'll be like, oh, this is driving me nuts. Last one will be from James Anthony. He says, Q&A, Trev, how do you think Robert Kirkman will feel about the recent news regarding The Walking Dead's violence being toned down in the show? Keep up the great work. So it's a great last question. How do you think he would feel about it? Well, he understands, in order to understand, in order to okay, he probably understands exactly why from their perspective, as I kind of do too. I mean, it's kind of an absurd concept, but The Walking Dead is like a giant now. It's a huge show. Everybody watching it. You can have in Gotham the Joker get his face cut off, which just happened this week, and, whatever, right? But Walking Dead is so big that, you can have people react, and then commissions can react, and then they have to watch their ass, and then they have to probably say things like, well, this is more brutal, so we're not going to have it as brutal as this again, and then they have to kind of come out and clarify, because all of us fans get worried. We're like, are they going to throttle it back too much? So I'm sure, Kirkman probably, he's a really smart guy, obviously, understands our side of it, where we don't want it to be toned down too much, and he probably doesn't either. As a fan, seeing the show, you know, when he's not involved with certain things, getting to see how it turns out, and being like, oh man, that's so cool because he created that in his mind, you know, writing the comic book and everything. But he'll probably, as a fan, he would probably be pissed too if they tone it down too much. But I'm sure he understands why they've made statements like that, because, again, they got to save face and they got to make, you know, they got to try to please everybody as best they can, which is impossible. You can't please everybody all the time. You know, not everybody. Some people are going to be appalled that there was so much violence. Other people are going to be like, hey, well, that's what I expected, or I want more violence. And it's like, well, what can you do, right? It's just what it is. Anyway, that'll be it for today's Q&A, guys. If you liked it, please thumb it up below. You can share, you can favorite. If you're new and you want to subscribe, you can subscribe at the bottom left. That's it for this one today. I'll see you guys again soon for another. As always, it's Trev saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.
You better subscribe.